Hey everybody, I'm Brooks and I'm back doing another video of boat maintenance. The Landers folks asked me to come back after our scuppers video and do one about some bilge maintenance, bilge pump maintenance. We were replacing the bilge pumps in the World Cat and we had these two bilge pumps that were still working and thought it'd be good to do a video on making what some people call a ditch bilge pump, or that spare bilge pump should you have a problem with one or both of the bilge pumps in your boat. A lot of people sometimes talk about doing a spare one that they'll throw into the bilge if their bilge pump fails. A lot of people talk about putting alligator clamps on where they can clamp it straight to the battery, drop it in the bilge or wherever they're taking on water to help lift some water out quickly. And so we thought we'd put a video together. These are the bilge pumps that came out of the boat. These are Rule 1500 gallon per hour pumps. They're very reliable pumps. These are original to the boat. Their manufacture date is April of 2005, and this video is being shot in 2020. So they have a long life. They are still good pumps. Just as part of a routine maintenance, we decided, hey, these things are about $100 each. No reason to let them sit there and run to failure. Let's go ahead and change them while they're still working, and we don't need them to work. So what we're going to do here is go through the process of how we're going to take this bilge pump, put this hose on it, all the electrical things you need. Some of the things we're going to do, some wire, some clamps, and I've got what represents a bilge here full of water, and we're going to show you how this works on a battery. So first thing to do is when you get this kind of old electrical stuff from a boat, Rule doesn't tin these. This is black. This copper wire turns black. A lot of your better manufacturers will use tinned copper, which is what the anchor wire here has. I don't know why they don't use tinned copper on these, but they don't. So you'll strip this wire here, and you'll see that on this one, the copper is really not even, it's staying and corroded even back behind where the wire was. So what I'll just do here is I'll show you, we'll take some sandpaper, we'll just clean that off, and you'll see it'll start to show a little bit of the copper back to it. You want to make sure this is good and clean and you got a good connection here. Like I said, I don't know why they don't have tinned copper. When you look at old wires out of a boat that were tinned originally, a lot of times they'll still have a good bit of luster. They'll be a little dull, but they won't be black and completely corroded like these. So you want to go get as much of that stuff off of there as you can. Just a little scrape. And then you want to start butt splicing it to some more wire, because what you're going to need here is enough wire to go from your batteries with the clips, then extend all the way to the bilge, and then whatever number of feet or however far down you've got to go to get this thing to sink to the bottom. So really think that through. With us, our batteries are pretty close, so it's got to go up and over a bulkhead. So we're going to do about 10 feet of wire, but it's not going to be a real exact, it's more of a ballpark. Some of the things to talk about, if you're going to do any kind of a big boat wiring project, you want to get one of these sets of tinned copper butt splices. There's some high-end brands out there, Anchor being one of them, that we like to use. Be careful of stuff made overseas. A lot of times those won't be tinned copper. That's the big thing to watch out for, is to make sure it is that high quality stuff. What they do is they take a copper wire and they coat it in tin. And that gives it a lot of corrosion resistance for a long time. We got some heat shrink here as well. What we're going to do is we put this together. We're going to show how we crimp this and then add some heat shrink to it. And this is glue-lined heat shrink. And what that will do is add a little bit of rigidity to it. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that here in a minute. This is pretty simple. You take these butt splices and you twist these wires up right here so they'll go in real nice. And take another scrape, scrape, scrape. Just make sure you got a good exposed bit of copper there. It'll kind of change as you twist on it. And you want it just right. So you get it in there. I use a set of Klein wire cutters, and you go all the way to the back here. I find I can crimp just about anything with that very back set of jaws there. So that's a Klein tool that I use. It's been around for a while with me. So when you get to this is the wire we're going to use to go directly to the boat. This is duplex marine 12 gauge, I believe. Yeah, 12-2 tin copper duplex cables from Anchor. And what I like about this is it stays in that white sheeting and that just helps keep everything nice and neat. I'll show you in a second how we store this thing. I think you're gonna like it. How we put it in a dry box, and I'll show you how it stays ready and available for you. So at this point, we're about to connect this into there, and I may have to redo that because this wire may not fit in these, but we'll make that quick. Then we're going to take some heat shrink, put it over it, and then I've got one of these little packages of marine heat shrink from Harbor Freight. I don't know if that'll fit down on it, but we're going to try. So let's see if this will fit. I got one of these little wire strippers here. They come from Harbor Freight. They're real cheap. I'll take a second here. They work really well too, but I'll take a second here to talk about this. That's tinned wire. You see how it's silver? And the copper wire, after all those years, had turned black. So will usually be a copper cover. So I'm going to redo these. I'll put the wrong size, some butt spots in there. So we extend, we take the cutters here, cut that off. Cut that off. You'll see it's back to exposing that black wire. We'll give it a quick hit with the sandpaper. Really quick hit with the sandpaper, get some of that corrosion off of there. Once again, electricity will not flow right unless that is good exposed copper you got there, or tinned copper, for those that are taking notes. So, trying this again. Twist this up. You got a significantly larger gauge butt splice. We'll take this, set it cutters again, we'll crimp it down there. It'll crimp down to anything, that's good and tight. Same deal. We'll go here. Take a little wire off this. You don't want any wire hanging out past the butt splice, so you can always trim it down just a little bit. And then put the pass with the sandpaper on it. Twist it up. So you want to make sure that goes in there, stops, and that the insulation is hanging out past the end of the butt splice. So there you have it. Your two spliced ends there. Got a little bit of heat shrink I'm going to run down. Now I like to use this glue line heat shrink when I'm putting these kind of connections together. A piece of it here. And the reason I like that is because that glue lining kind of makes a very solid connection and essentially kind of glues the two pieces together. So if you get to jerking on this one day when you are in a hurry to get it in there, or you're pulling on the wires and stuff, this helps to make this a stronger connection. Connect black to black in here. Go like that. Make ourselves a nice crimp on it. And then brown to red. I don't know why, if somebody knows why brown is used sometimes in marine applications, y'all feel free to let me know in the comments. So here I've got a good connection between these two. So I'm going to take out my heat gun. I'm going to heat shrink it down. This is really good heat shrink to use, this glue line stuff. So for, like I said, for marine stuff, you want this glue line because it makes it waterproof. And it takes it a little bit longer to get down onto it, but it's worth it to sit here for a minute, let this thing heat up, let it get good and hot, and as you know you're getting a good connection, as it starts to turn clear. When you start to see that real clear wire through there, you know you've got that glue melted, and you're getting down and you're getting a good connection in there. So we'll bring this on around. Pretty basic. But you want to get it good and hot, get that glue melted, get it sealed. This alone would probably be good enough in most applications, but for what we're doing here, this is emergency stuff, so we'll take an extra step, make sure that if everything else goes wrong, this will at least work for us. On this glue line stuff, once I get done with it, I like to just kind of squeeze it, make sure that glue gets kind of pressed around in there. Careful, it's kind of hot, but I like to do that. So you take this, shove it on up, shove it on up, shove it on up. Now we're going to coat the entire connection with another piece of heat shrink. And this should fit down enough, be good enough. This really is, it's gonna kind of waterproof it, but it's gonna add another layer of waterproofing, and it's going to, like I said, glue the two wires really together, so that if you're ever tugging on it, you're not actually tugging on the joint, you're tugging more on the connection that the glue is made. Hopefully that makes pretty good sense. Okay, so now we got this big ugly connection here. Squeeze on it again, like I said. You want to kind of squeeze that glue in it. Nice and good like that. So now it's coming together as a nice wire. So we take our wire in here. Like I said, we're going to estimate about 10 feet. And this is, again, not an exact science, but we say, hey, okay, we're going to go about 6.5 feet tall, so that's 6 feet. And that'd be about another 4 feet right there. And we'll add another few inches just for good measure. Up here, do a nice cut. I don't know why I use the cheap cutters. Use good cutters, they'll snip right through it. Okay, so wire right away. Now, we need to put the alligator clamps on there. You always want to make sure you cut away from yourself, because if you cut towards yourself and you slip, you cut yourself. So you strip back a little bit of wire. You want to leave as much of this on there as you can. For this one, I'm going to strip a good bit more wire, because I want to get in there real good and get these connected up. So sometimes if your wire stripper won't just pull it off like that, you kind of go through the knife, and you're always cutting away from yourself, because if you cut towards yourself, you'll cut yourself. Kind of rip and tug. Trying to remove the insulation. There we go, that one. Same story over here. Cut out the insulation. Get it nice and pulled apart. Okay. So now we'll twist it up again like we did before. Twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it. And I like to take the very tip of it and double it over. It gives me something extra to bite onto when I go to crimp it into here. So if you want, you can add some more heat shrink. This is a good time to do it. Help make sure that it won't pop out. This stuff right here that I've got is about a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna cut a couple more pieces of it. Show you how that works. Right there, once again, cut away from yourself so that you don't cut yourself. It's got a nice bend in there. There we go. We won't make it work. Make it work. Pull it all the way through. There you go. There's one piece of it. Here's another piece. A little bit of heat shrink. Always put your heat shrink on before you connect everything up. Otherwise, you won't have any heat shrink on it. Give myself a little bit of room to work here. Pull that down a little bit. There we go. All right, so now we got this big thick piece right here. You can pick either side, whichever side's your favorite, to crimp it onto. I like to pull this down here, and stick it inside that heat shrink there. Get it in there, kind of tuck it. This one will allow you to kind of tuck on it, but I'm gonna twist it a little tight. So you get in here, you just start bending those little wings down on it. There's one bend. Get you lots of wire, all bent up in there. Good bite. So a real good bite on that wire. Come over the top, crimp it down good. That to be a good connection. So then you come back with your red handle. And like I like to do, some heat shrink over the top of that. Make everything real tight. Same story here. Pick your favorite side. Run your black tube down. There. Crimpers. This is one of these deals where you need another set of hands that I don't have. So you want to pinch down one side at a time. Let's get a little bit more of that in there. Pinch down on one side at a time. There. This other side before it falls out. And pinch down. Right there. There we go. Good and tight. Nice, firm. Give it a quick tug, test it. Make sure that that is not going to come out because that would end the purpose of this entire exercise. Now then, heat shrink down. Good enough. And I do recognize that this shrink is entirely too big for this wire where we're working here. I'll remind you before you go hating in the comments that this is simply to kind of glue these together, not really for the purposes of waterproofing, in which case you'd be right. This would be the wrong size shrink tube to use for a waterproofing application. So you want to think about, okay, we're going to go to a battery. So batteries are about, that far apart. So give yourself enough to be about that far apart. From here, just like a slice, tuck it back in. You're good to go. So now what we've created, we're done with the heat gun. We've created a wired up bilge pump. Now, we've got to get the water from the bilge pump lifted up out of the boat. So, to do that, you can use any kind of fluid transfer hose that will fit on there. These are 1 1/8 inch. Bilge pump hose is about 1 1/4 inch, I believe, so it's a little bit bigger, but I just went down to the home store and bought a bilge pump hose that you can get just about anywhere. And to connect it, you want to use a wire clamp. What I do is anytime I take hardware apart in the boat lift, whatever, I save the hardware, this good stainless hardware, in a box like this. And I've got a clamp here that came out of that boat, that same Moral Cat from 15 years ago that's in great shape. So I'm going to use it, but I do highly recommend getting a box to put all your stainless in. It will really help you. The stainless is not cheap, it's quite expensive, and you want to reuse it if at all possible. This isn't something I put back in the boat for a mission critical application, but for what we're doing, this is just fine. These clamps are made by Ideal Trident. A lot of the good boat manufacturers run this specific type. It's 316 stainless steel, which is the good marine grade stainless. So stainless is not all created equal, so be careful of that when you're putting the boat together. So, best, easiest way to do these is to get a little nut driver like this, tighten it down, tighten it down, tighten it down, tighten it down, till it's about right. Come to the pump I want it to be on, and get it around the lip there. There's not a whole lot to bite. You're only going in about 1 inch here, so you want to make sure that you're got plenty of bite on the output itself, make sure you're on hose, tighten her down until she locks up. And I might give that one just another little bit. There. You don't want to crush it, you don't want to break it. Got a little bit hanging out here. You can trim this if you want, tape it down, bend it around. You probably want to get rid of this as much as you can. I'm probably just gonna see if I can cut it. Actually, I'm not gonna do that. I'll probably just zip tie it down. You don't want this to hang up on something. That's the idea in practicality. But this is basically your setup. You got your hose here. You got your pump here. Now, these pumps will sink. Some of them kind of want to not sink all that well. And so we did have a way to make it sink. And we got some lead off of eBay that just comes in like what's called an ingot, like a lead bar, basically. And we cut it on a bandsaw. And it seems to work really well to hold these things down. Gives them a little bit of weight and a little bit of direction. Because in an emergency, you're going to have the boat rocking and moving around, and you want this thing to more or less sink and not want to topple or kind of float. Some of the smaller ones will actually kind of float. So you want to take something and secure it down with. So, and just a word of caution, lead's a neurotoxin, so if you're going to cut it, wear a respirator. You don't want to breathe that dust in. You don't want to get it in your bloodstream. You don't want to get it in your lungs. You don't want to get it in you in any way. So if you're going to mess with it, cut on it, things like that, be sure to take some basic precautions. Best way we found to do this, get a zip tie, go hold the mounting holes on it, get that zip tie positioned to where it'll be down and more or less out of the way. Let's get it here, kind of around the curve there on you. Let's see here. Tight, 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 just like that. Get another one, go up and around the little mounting holes. One reason I wanted to go with zip ties is A, they can be removed very quickly. B, they are very low profile, so you want this thing to sit as close to the bottom as possible when you're running it. And so these things will sit right there flat, and there's nothing up here to get caught in the pumps.